Hello everyone, and welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to be covering what I've been up to over the past few months. There are three things I specifically want to talk about in this video. The first is, of course, what's been happening in the market. The second is what I'm interested in, what I'm tracking in the crypto space. And lastly, I want to share a bit about the project I've been working on at Astaria. So let's start with the market. Now, I think despite all the craziness, the market has been just a bit boring. If you are fortunate enough to have not been affected by any of these massive fallouts, there really hasn't been much to do, at least from an on-chain perspective. A lot of the apps and the farming opportunities, etc., have sort of dwindled in the past few months. So I feel pretty lucky to have consolidated my holdings pretty heavily at the beginning of the year. I wasn't lucky enough to sell the top, but I was fortunate enough to have consolidated my holdings before any of the real drawdowns hit. So I mostly just had exposure to Ethereum, and now I mostly just have exposure to Coinbase's staked Ether product. Something like a couple months ago when Coinbase's staked Ether came out, it was trading at about a 9% discount. So at the time, I pretty much swapped all of my ETH to Coinbase's staked Ether. And I actually think it's still a pretty solid opportunity to swap your ETH into. It's trading at about a 4% discount, and it's earning almost the same yield as staked ETH. There is a little bit less utility in the DeFi ecosystem, but all things considered, I think it's probably a good move. I won't spend too much time on this because that's not really the point of the video, but I just wanted to show you that you can swap about 100 ETH for 102 or so Coinbase staked Ether. But the advantage here is that one Coinbase wrap staked Ether is actually equivalent to about 1.02 ETH, so it's really at about a 4% discount. And if you are curious about how Coinbase's validators compare to Lido's, you can check the rated.network website. I'll link that below. And you can see here that Lido is getting about a 5.6% APR, not including fees. And Coinbase is getting about the same, but not including fees. Coinbase does take a slightly higher fee, but ultimately the discount makes it a much better product to hold. Now, of course, it's up to you if you trust the risk with Coinbase more than Lido, etc., but ultimately I think Lido's staked ETH and Coinbase's wrapped staked ETH are probably both safe, but of course, as this year has taught us, who really knows? Now, the other thing I wanted to share is I'm just really grateful I didn't get blown out, and hopefully none of you did as well. So I was fortunate enough to not have any exposure to Terra, no exposure to FTX. I'm here in the US and we couldn't even use their exchange. No exposure to 3AC, BlockFi, etc. So I feel very fortunate there. But that said, Ethereum is still down 75%. I think Bitcoin's down about 75% as well. So it's not like anyone is performing incredibly. I also just wanted to point out that crypto has gone from a $3 trillion market cap to about 750 billion now. So it's a massive drawdown, and it's definitely been a roller coaster watching it over the past year. But I think there is some silver lining here. I think it's pretty clear that the market is much more rational now. We're seeing EVM chains dominating. We're seeing alt layer ones that really didn't innovate much. They're drastically underperforming. We've also seen forks, useless farms, non-innovative projects. They're all gone. And this is somewhat reflected in the CoinGecko top 10 by market cap. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but it definitely looks a lot better than it did 6 months ago or a year ago. So where are we now? Well, of course, it's tough to say. If I were to guess, I would say there's probably more downside ahead, but I also think it doesn't really hurt to start DCAing when the market is already down 75% or more. My guess is in a worst case scenario, we have maybe another 50% drawdown coming, but I think if you're looking at the medium to long-term time horizon, the upside is conservatively at least a 5x. So I think the risk return really makes sense for long-term thinkers. This chart goes around Twitter a lot. I think it's always fun to look at. If I were to guess, I would say we're somewhere in this range here, but of course, who really knows, right? So certainly not a bad time to start DCAing in, but there could of course be more downside ahead. Now next up, what am I interested in covering on this channel? Now of course I want to get back to covering specific projects. If I were to just take a snapshot of what I'm interested in the DeFi space, I would talk about projects like Euler, Gearbox, Uniswap, and then of course also liquid staking derivatives like Coinbase's wrap staked Ether and Lido's staked ETH. I'm also very interested in NFT financialization, so I'm looking at projects like Genie, which is also Uniswap, SudoSwap, Liquidy's chicken bonds, etc. And then lastly, I've been floating the idea around of doing a sort of how it's made for Astaria, which is the project I've been working on. If that's something that interests you, please leave a comment below, and if I see enough traction there, I'll spin up a series for it. I also want to use this channel to sort of find what's next. So I think it's very important to stay engaged. Having this channel is helpful for me. Hopefully, it's a bit helpful for you. And I personally feel a lot more equipped at spotting, whatever the next DeFi summer is. I also think that if you're still here and you're still engaged in the DeFi and crypto space, that you'll be able to see the seeds of adoption for whatever it is that triggers that next cycle. My personal hope is it's more real world assets on chain, but of course, we'll see what happens. So, what have I been busy working on and what is Astaria? Well, simply put, Astaria is on a mission to build a highly liquid NFT lending market. So, in March of last year, we were very fortunate to raise a fundraising round, which gave us quite a bit of runway to build out a team and really explore what we would do in this space. And we basically landed on a concept for an NFT lending platform that is really quite different than anything that's out there today. I won't get in the weeds in this video of how our platform is different than others, but I would just say that we support really any ERC 721. So that, of course, includes JPEGs or NFTs in the traditional sense. It also includes Uniswap v3 positions and other financial primitives like Liquidity's chicken bonds. We're going to be launching very soon, and part of that launch process is actually doing a Code Arena style coding challenge. So if you are an engineer, definitely go to Code Arena, I'll link it below, and enroll in our contest, which starts on January 4th. This is going to be our final audit before launch, so if you are an engineer, we'd love for you to win some prize money. You can see we have a $90,000 prize pool, so if you're a talented hacker, if you're a white hat, definitely check that contest out and hopefully you can secure Astaria. And again, that goes live January 4th, and then right after that contest ends, we'll be launching the platform if everything goes well. So to wrap things up, where am I going to take this channel in 2023? Well, for one, I want to lean more into live streams and interviews, sort of like more of the podcasting model than what I've traditionally done. I ask myself a lot if protocol reviews would even be relevant now. Is there anything really interesting happening on chain? Or are there really that many farming opportunities? Probably not. And so hopefully this channel can become even more educational and leaning more into sort of the podcasting format. But that said, if something's particularly interesting to you, I, of course, want to cater to the audience, so please leave your comments below, and I'll make sure to follow through. Now, with that said, thank you so much for watching. Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.